If you give your child an Aston Martin, don't think of yourself the way you are right now. Think of yourself as someone who can afford an Aston Martin and 10 more. And then you give the child the key of the car and say, pick between this car and me. What will the child pick? The car or me? Me. In other words, we don't need deep spiritual knowledge to know that he who gives it is more important than what he gives. How is it then possible that somehow people are okay showing up to church on the first Sunday of the year to receive blessings for their finances and never show up to church again throughout the year? A distortion of value system. There are those who, though they don't put money in front of the pulpits and kneel down to it and bow, there are those whose God is actually money. When a man decides not to show up, for instance, to a place of worship consistently, all because he has deals that he needs to make, we can give every possible example and every possible reason and say, well, it's because of this and this and this and that. But there is a point in time where we need to ask ourselves genuine questions and say, a man who can decide not to worship his creator because he's trying to make money, the truth of it is that man has made a god for himself. The god is money. That distortion in value system is the influence of the fall. That as a reason of man falling, man came to a point in time where his value system became distorted. He knows there is a God, yet he is more fascinated by the things that God does than God himself. That is the working of a man who is under the power of the fall. In Christ Jesus, what does he do? He restores our value system. He begins to tell us a man's life does not consist in the abundance of things he has. He begins to make us realize your life is more than your money. What will it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? That's a restoration of value system. He lets you understand if a man gains the whole world and has all the money in the world but loses his soul for it, is a loss. The devil made man believe even if you are still going to die and be judged at the end of the day, as long as you make money, you are okay. Jesus says no, that's loss. Jesus restores our value system, makes us recognize one with God is majority. Better to be broke in this world and be on God's good side than to live all of this world and then end up in condemnation. Ask the rich man that was with Lazarus. He will have stories for you.